All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. My brothers and sisters over at Patron Pastored out here. Um, I got so much going on, and I've done so much so far this year that actually when I'm out here doing a lot of these things, I neglect a great portion of the ministry. However, I was sitting back a few Sabbaths ago, and I was watching, during fellowship time, I was watching all the little children run around. I was watching the interaction with men and the interaction with women, observing. And of course, it took me back into my experience in upbringing and what I saw in my family, which pretty much is systemic all the way across the board in melanated people's families. And then I started assessing and started taking note of the difference between other cultures and societies based on geographical locations and based on influences. And so I started thinking, and I see today, especially in the ministry where I'm at, I have my own children. They're not interested in y'all. At least one of them does express interest in y'all. The other one is totally not. And that's before I get started. That's the reason why a lot of men desire sons. Because now if they have a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of understanding, they can always have a son from either one or two or three women, and they're never limited. A woman's biological clock, she only has this much more window, and she's done. And of course, then from that time forth, it's up to that man to be able to educate that son. And the son, just like when Yahshua talks about the father, and he says he does nothing unless he sees the father do it. He doesn't speak anything unless the father speaks it. That is the perfect order of father and son, the perfect order of it. But what we have today is we have a demonic override that's going on in family systems. And what that demonic override is because women are not greater in power and might. And I know as soon as I start talking about women, most people close their mind, which is fine and good. It's your choice, it's your decision. It's still not going to change anything in the grand scheme of things. But whoever listens to me, be you male or female, you'll advance and you'll be a hell of a lot farther along than a lot of your peers and a lot of people who you've been raised by, and chances are your life will be better. And the problem is that when you speak about roles and you speak about places, the majority of men today, they don't know their role or their place. And the majority of women today don't know their role or their place. A lot of children, because they have an early connection with their mother, they'll start to take on her emotions, negative emotions or negative feelings concerning the man, because if the man does not do things, and that's what women are always trying to do. Women are always trying to get men to do things the way they want them done. They're always trying to get men to do things based on the way that they see things. And if they can't get things accomplished and done the way that they think it ought to be done, then they resist. And a lot of times it's a passive resistance because, again, they can't overthrow power and might. The majority of the time, the men are the primary breadwinners in the family. And then one of the biggest things I've seen coming up in my generation as a child is men having more than one consort. And then the women going bat crap crazy, destroying families, destroying their homes, because the man, he's providing, then he has to come home and listen to a bunch of negative lip. And if he's not listening to a negative lip, then he has to deal with a bunch of resistance. And they don't understand the reason why that the man, instead of wanting to be at home and wanting to be around the family and to be able to be what the construct of society says, that they end up going looking for solstice somewhere else because there's so much chaos that is going on in the home. So I can't speak to my generation. I can speak from the experience of my generation and speak to you that in your 20s and 30s so that you don't make the same mistakes that I saw as a child growing up and some of the experiences I've even had myself. Anytime that there's something going on, at least that's the way I think it ought to be. At least that's the way I communicated with Mother Carol. Now, matter of fact, when we first got married, the one thing that we did say is that we said, this is what we said, is that we'll never use the children as a dividing point. If something ever happens to us, we terminate and stuff, we'll never let the children be used as a dividing point. Okay, now that is what was said. But what I've seen in family and what I've seen all the way across the board is that anytime that the woman perceives or thinks or believes that the man is doing something wrong, because the children are emotionally connected to the woman, they start to take on those negative emotions against the provider, against the breadwinner of the family. And now we've come to a hell of a lot more knowledge and truth and find out that if a man went out and he had another woman that was not married, then he has not committed any adultery whatsoever at all. And in my grandmother's generation, women, they pretty much stayed in their place. They stayed behind the man. They didn't come beside the man. They didn't try to get in front of the man. But in this generation, women don't know their place. Your place is behind the man, just like the man is behind Jesus. And the woman is behind the man, and the children are behind the woman. And I'll give you an example. If somebody was breaking into the house, who is supposed to be the primary defense and the source of defense for the family unit? It's supposed to be the man, right? The man is supposed to be the one to protect the family. He's designed to be the protector of the family. And what happens is that there's been many women that have taken the option and run to divorce court and done nothing but destroyed the family because of her offense against the man, and then raised their children in a headless home. And that's the reason why you see the advent of so much homosexuality today, because you've got men that's been raised by a plethora of women, influenced by mama, influenced by aunt, influenced by sisters, influenced by school teachers, which the majority of them are women. And everything that is in front of them in life is women. And then if you do get some that make it on the big scene, become a professional, whatever it is, the first thing you hear is everybody giving accolades to mom like dad ain't done a damn thing. And a lot of times dad couldn't be able to do a damn thing, or he never was good enough to do a damn thing, because mom has taken all of the accolades. Mom has taken all of the responsibility. Mom is all the good responsibility. And the men pretty much ain't shit in the grand scheme of things. And that's the design of Satan and what he's done. And if the man could have some type of influence, the woman is always trying to intervene and interject and trying to make sure that she continues to keep up what the hell is going on. So when I talk about this advent of gayness and homosexuality, you can pretty much see exactly what's going on. You can see what's going on. And when the man is out of the home, what do you expect for males to do? Because a woman can't raise a man. And so they end up, if a man went out and creeped or whatever it is, in my mother's generation and in my grandmother's generation, they stayed in their place. They stayed at home. They guided the house. They still took care of the man. I even got stories I can tell you, even in my own family, where a man went out and created another family and had other children and stuff, and the woman still stayed at home, still stayed in her place, and did not even let the children in on what the hell was going on. You know why? Because children are designed to stay in their place, and it's totally unfair if a woman unloads all this bitterness and all this rejection and all this negativity upon children. And then what are they going to do? They're going to build up a big ass wall against the man, and they'll never be able to reach out because of the accusations and because of the rejection. They'll never be able to open up, and they'll never be able to love their father the way that they should. But if you look at other cultures, and I can give just a recent one, Bill and Melinda Gates. Okay, everybody knows that they're getting divorced. All right. And we know that Bill Gates was the millionaire, billionaire, whatever, and he married a woman that was a manager. Melinda Gates, he married a woman that was a manager at one of his stores. And apparently Bill Gates, even though while married to Melinda, he's been still carrying on a relationship with his girlfriend all these years. And you think that's the reason for divorce? Melinda knew about it the whole time. Nah, it wasn't the reason for that divorce. And you know what? You're not even going to know what was the real true reason of that divorce. You know why? Because other cultures know how to keep matters private. And other cultures know how to not go and run their lips and hold water and go bump their gums and flap their lips about everything that is going on in every aspect of their life private. They don't put it out there on the public flat platform for everybody else to gawk over, for everybody else to speak about, because it's none of their business. But when you get melanated people in our world, in our society today, and they get so emotionally destroyed and distraught because of the competition between women and every damn thing else that is going on, the first thing they do is run to social media, run to their girlfriends, run to mama, run to everybody and tell everybody what the hell is going on from their perspective. And then the man is totally condemned. Now you got the family court systems. You got everything in this world that is against the man. You see, in this ministry right here, I often ask a few women that I've talked to over and over again. I asked them this question right here. How much of the financial responsibility should a man be liable for in a family? Well, that's simple in this particular ministry. 0. Why? Because the man is charged to be the provider. He is charged to be the leader. Well, we can't make it on one income. Yes, you can. All you got to do is be content with such things as you have. Curb your lust and your desires. Focus on being a good mother. Focus on being a good, more than anything, a good wife. And don't sit up there and whenever you're disgruntled, whenever you have your emotions all out of whack and every damn thing else, don't go communicate that with them children and then damage those children for the rest of their lives. And they will never, ever be able to experience the protection and the love of a father. Because in our culture right here, when you have a little girl, every man knows that that's not, even though that's his seed from a girl, because seed goes from male to male, he knows that this little girl is going to go to be somebody else's. She's going to go and be in somebody else's family, and she is going to have somebody else's children. That's the reason why in Hebrew culture, they put a lot of value on male authority, patriarchy. But everything in this world is slated against the family unit. Everything is, and especially the woman. The woman, because if things don't run her way, things don't go her way, she feels like she has a mouth, it can move, lips that can run, gums she can bump, and she don't give a damn if she got to destroy that man because of her emotions and feelings, thereby destroying the children. And she don't care if those children grow up dysfunctional, offended, and then die. I mean, I thought about this the other day. I went on the internet, and I do some crazy stuff. I really, truly do. I went on the internet and I looked and I said, okay, I wonder how many children are buried next to their mother and no father is even in the mix. He's not even in the mix. He's not even mentioned. And you wouldn't believe how many dead young children that are buried next to their mothers because they were raised wrong and went to an early grave. Now, the commandment says, honor your father, puts that first. And then it says, and, that's a conjunction, joining in, your mother. Why? So that your days may be prolonged upon the soil which Yahweh your Elohim giveth you. So if the woman is out of order and she teaches that young man dishonor and stuff, and he goes out in the streets and he catches a bullet and stuff because he feels like that's what manhood is, getting raised by the streets out here, and he end up in the early grave, and all you got is the same woman just trying to look like that she's the one that has suffered loss and everything. You know why? Because she has taken him away from the father. See, women in this generation are weak. They don't have no enduring substance. No matter what, a woman should always paint for her children her father in a positive light. But too many times, more often than not, Men are often painted in a negative light. You women, don't do that. Don't turn the hearts of your children away from the Father. Don't do that. And then I remember my family, all of us, we were out when we were in Georgia and we went out to eat. And I looked around and you know what I saw? I saw one family there that had grandmama with them. But the majority of people I saw women and grandmothers taking the children out to eat with no man in sight. Zero. I'm trying to tell y'all, both men and women. Men, you have a place. Women, you have a place. But anytime you're trying to trump and go past that place, anytime you're trying to go above that place, or anytime you're trying to force a man to be something that he's not, and you allow your emotions to override biblical truth and reason, you're going to affect those children in a negative way. That's what I'm saying, women today in this generation. No matter what goes on, do not drag children into adult matters. Let them stay children. They stay in a lane. They don't need to know what the hell is going on with y'all. They need to be raised in a healthy environment and not a dysfunctional environment, because what this society is giving us is just simply not working. What the church is giving us is simply not working. So things have got to go back to the old paths, and they have got to go back to the old landmarks. And yeah, I'm putting this up mainly at a high level here on Patreon because, tell you the truth, who's deserving of it except the people who are on communities and homesteads who are very serious-minded about being functionable families, functionable fathers, functional mothers. And children, they'll grow up with an offense and not even really know how to articulate it because their offense is through the emotions of the weaker vessel, their mother. That's why I keep bringing up over and over and over again. The Bible says there's no wickedness like the wickedness of a woman. Would this be classified as wickedness today in this generation who sanctions and approves and protects, and a man can't get nothing adjudicated in his behalf in this world and society today, when this spiritual wicked temple of Aphrodite is doing every damn thing it can to strip a man of manhood, to keep the children to understand what a man is, and to keep the little boys in an estrogen dominant nature and not testosterone. And now they got phrases out here called toxic masculinity and everything else. See, everything is against the builders of society. I often say it over and over again. When you go to factories, some live in trailers. Did a woman build that? Nah, mostly women, they get into professions and they think they're something with their degrees. They get into professions that has to do with some type of managing of human nature. They get into some type of communications, but they're not the builders of empires. They're not the builders of nations. They're not the builders of cities. They're not the builders of towns and hells. They're not even builders of homes. A home that you got a roof over your head in. A woman did not build that. But they sure are in the business of messing up people's minds, messing the hell out of it up. So if it wasn't for the man building the home, building the trailer, building the skyscrapers, building the bridges and building the roads and building the cars and doing all this, what the hell would women have today then? Because you can ask sisters this over and over again. Put 10 sisters, throw them out in the jungle, give them each one primary tool to survive with and see if they can get together and see what happens. Put them out there for 30 days, see what happens. Hell, I can lessen it at. Put them out there 10 days. But put men out there and give them the same options and see what happens. See what the difference is. They would have a functional homestead and literally almost a damn city built from nothing within that time frame because they know how to survive. And the women, they're too busy bickering and fussing and fighting at each other. And while on one end, they act like that they're really truly consumed with and they're caring about each other. The other end, the only thing really a woman really truly is worried about is if another woman is going to come in and replace her or take her place. Mind you. And the reason why she's doing that is because she knows that she is failing. in her area of responsibility of being a good wife or a good mother. So she don't want the competition and nobody else coming in upstaging her, because then all the shit that she ain't doing will literally be revealed. So you sisters, you daughters of Zion, don't be like that. Be impeccable in your character. Be impeccable in your nature. Teach your daughter. And when your son gets old enough to be weaned from you and stuff, make sure you point that son to that father and teach them both the love of the Father, so that when they do get older and stuff, they'll know how to manage their own homes. And we won't have a dysfunctional nation, but we'll have a very prosperous nation. The things that I'm talking about, it's got to be said. Nobody else is going to say it, because instead of living through facts, everybody live through negative emotions, and everybody's just done gone crazy as hell. You cannot build a society. You simply can't. A woman is not going to do it. I'm looking at this community. A woman did not build this community. They cook, very valuable. They rear and raise the children, schooling the children, extremely valuable. They manage the gardens after the brothers till the soil, extremely valuable. I'm not diminishing their role whatsoever at all. The problem is when they're trying to supersede that role, or they're trying to overstep their bounds and then trying to influence in roles. And let me tell you what happens on communities. What happens on communities is that if a woman sees something that she thinks it ought to be one way or the other, and if her husband has influence in any way, shape, fashion, or form, she'll try to communicate to that husband, hiding behind his strength as a man. And if that man is a simp and he don't understand exactly what's going on, he will communicate her will and impose her will on that community. And the community know that something is wrong, but they can't put their finger on it. But they're looking at the character and nature of this man right here, and they still like, what is going on? And pretty soon they'll come up with the answer. The woman is ruling behind this simp ass and weak ass man. And it's sad. It really, truly is sad. So the only way that things are going to work in our world is if we stay hardcore the Hebraic way. The only way it's going to work. That's who we are as a people. That's how we prosper. The men are the one who built the buildings, leveled the trailers, put up the greenhouses, built the raised beds, built the chicken coops. The men are the one who did all the strenuous job, because a woman, I don't give a damn what woman it is in this ministry. If there's a woman that believes that she is bold enough, that she thinks she can work, and I'm an old man now, at least I believe I'm an old man. If they believe that they're so damn bold enough and they want to trump what Pastor Dow says, I will give you the privilege and the honor. You can come out. And the next building we do, you come out there and you can work with me. You can do exactly what I do and what the men do. You get to get up when we get up. You get to go to sleep when we go to sleep. You get to rest when we get to rest. You don't get to quit in any way, shape, fashion, or form. And I said all that to prove a point that a woman ain't just as good as any man. A man has an area and a role he needs to function in, and a woman has an area role she needs to function in. And anytime you cross it, you have nothing but demonic entities that's ruling the nation, ruling the homestead, and ruling the home. And we can't have that. And the only way we're going to be able to see this is when Pastor Dow gets up here and articulates it. And I say what other men refuse to say, because a lot of men are scared of the emotions and feelings of their women. A wise man builds a house, but a foolish woman will pluck it down with her hands. When the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. What condition is your community? What condition is your homestead? And what condition is your home in right now, man? You the spiritual leader. You're supposed to be the one to determine that. What is it? And when you find out, make some adjustments. Learn how to make some adjustments and make it a more biblical home, a Hebraic home, that your wife will be glad to be able to honor you, and that she will get in her place. And if she can't get in her place, put her in her place. And if you can't put her in her place, get somebody better. That's just the way our culture works. That's the way it is. You need somebody that's going to help raise your seed that's going to be beneficial for generations to come. I hope it said something to stimulate thought. I hope that y'all would take heed to the words that I said and let these sayings sink deep down in your heart and get out of your emotions and feelings. And let's live some truth. Shalom, King coming.